Hi, this is Brandis Brown from Mike and Brandis Brown Performance Animals. Today I want to show you guys a little bit about some of the equipment that we use here to train animals. So one of my very favorite things with puppies is I use Cheese Whiz. I also use frozen broth in a cup, things like that. When I'm going to use Cheese Whiz on a very young puppy, I put a little bit on my finger or a little bit on the inside of my hand like that, and I will close it in my hand. So when I first teach the puppy, I'll have an open hand, I'll have the Cheese Whiz on it, they lick it off, and pretty soon I will hide the Cheese Whiz so that they can smell it, but they can't get to it until they're performing the task that I want, and I open up my hand. Then I don't use as much because some dogs will have a little sensitivity to this with their stomach. I love the clicker. I kind of use it differently than other trainers. I don't just do a one-click click. I do a thing I call jackpot clicking. So on films and things like that, a lot of people will see me not just click for a dog for doing it, but and that just gets my dogs really amped, because a one click means I know I'm going to get a treat, and several clicks, sometimes they just get really amped and excited about that, and it becomes a reward in itself even without the treat. Okay, so I told you about the Cheese Whiz. We went over a little bit about the clicker. I love my treat pouches. This is probably my very favorite brand. You see me in this the very most. I like to keep this guy on a side that my dog isn't. So I usually train my dog here, which means this guy's gonna wrap around and be on this side. I do something a little different with my treats. If I'm gonna get a treat out of this bag, a lot of times, there's all the equipment I was looking for earlier. Okay, so a lot of times I will get in my treat bag, I will hand it to my other hand, and I will treat my dog. For more advanced dogs. For little puppies, a lot of times you're gonna see me come across and work my puppy here. A couple things that I do with this: if I have a treat in my hand, I hold it between my thumb and middle finger. Treats are going to be pea size or smaller, so this is a little tiny piece of hot dog that's been cut up. I use all kinds of things. I really love chicken and roast. It's a cheap thing that I can get at the grocery store. I can cut it into teeny tiny pieces, I can freeze it in bags, and very few dogs have any allergies to it. I like to keep my potty bags and things in here. That makes it easier. I also have this really cool guy. I used to take dog leashes, tie them around my waist so that my dog was always with me when I have a puppy. I don't like puppies loose in the house. This is a way that I do not get strangled by puppies anymore. So instead of taking my leash around my waist and dropping it through the handle, which is what I did for many years. I love these skinny leashes, by the way, little tiny 1/4 inch type leashes. This is what I would do, so puppy was always kind of stuck beside me. Now I feed this little guy onto here, and this thing never tightens on my body. I guess some people use them as treat dispensers. I can't really see how that would be efficient, so I don't really use it for that. Now I've got this, and I can work my leash, or I can just have it hanging so puppy has more space. This is a way that puppies never loose in my house. Works out really good. Two pieces of equipment that are really important when training the puppies. I have two different styles of gentle leader here.
Oh my god, I forget.
Those guys down. Okay, so the first one is the Real Gentle Leader by Pet Safe. And this is an old style. It does not have the neoprene in the nose. Buy the neoprene in the nose. It keeps it from rubbing on the side of their face. I highly recommend every dog. I don't care if it's going to be a 2 or 3 pound Yorkshire Terrier, or it's a poodle, or somebody says, oh, but my dog's neck, this doesn't go on their throat. It's not going to hurt their throat in any way. But what's really cool about these gentle leaders is you put it on your dog's nose, and I usually give a treat, and then give a treat to the dog, slip it on their nose. Give a treat to the dog through the nose band and slip it on, and they get to eat it, okay? Then you take this guy and you clip it around the back. This part is going to be snug around their neck, but the nose piece here has an adjuster on it. And you can pop that loose, slide it up and down to to what you need. I leave it a tiny bit loose because if the dog knocks it off, I'll just put it back on. Once it is on the dog, I will show you a really important thing that you need to know how to do that most videos do not show. Let's say your little dog's down here and he's trying to knock this off his nose, okay? So then I'm gonna take my leash, so he's down there and he's pawing at it. And I say, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. And then he finally quits. His head is bobbing all over, and at some point he says, oh, what's making that happen? He stops pawing at his nose, and I stop bumping. He goes back to it, and I say, leave it, leave it, leave it. Pretty soon he starts to understand that leave it means stop doing something. And he stops batting it. As soon as I get it on the first few times, I also want to go right to, I'll leave it loose, and I'll be feeding Puppy, and I wish I had a puppy right now, but we don't have any puppies in our home. So I'll be feeding Puppy with the gentle leader on, and we'll walk along with the puppy like that, and me feeding it, and this becomes not a big deal, and it's exciting, and they don't mind the gentle leader because they're thinking about the food reward. Start out your training session with a hungry puppy. If a puppy has already had breakfast, he's not going to want your treats. So make sure that you start out with a hungry puppy. And when you graduate from the gentle leader, Puppy's doing really good. Puppy walks along beside you, and all is doing really well. You're a couple months into training, and you think, man, I'd really like to try a collar. Try a martingale collar first. I love these things. They come in leather, they come in nylon. I have them in many varieties, and I highly recommend this type of collar. And if you're still having a problem, then give me a call and let's talk about a prong. But I really think if you start with a gentle leader, you won't need a prong on most breeds. They just learn where they're supposed to be. I really like the clicker training on the leash and things like that, and I think you'll avoid a lot of the need for the prong. And if you have any other questions, puppy buyers or friends that I'm sending this video to, just give me a call and we'll go through it. Thanks, and we'll talk with you soon.